Hi, I'm Rachel Donegan. I am the Howe Library's Emerging Technologies Librarian, and I am here to show you how to make something every week. This is Howe Makers. Hi everybody and welcome back to Howe Makers. Today we are making this really cool box that you could use to organize stuff in your drawer. You could use it to give a gift. You can use it for all sorts of things. Maybe I'll put all your pencils in, all your art equipment in it. That would be a pretty good use for this box. Stay tuned, I'll show you how to make it. So I have to come clean and admit that I did not know how to do this project. I saw a couple pictures online and I said, oh, I can figure out how to do that. And so what I did is called tinkering. You make it up as you go along. You try some things, you make things up as you go along, you solve problems as you go. And sometimes it comes out great and sometimes it doesn't, but you certainly learn a lot. And so that's kind of what I did today. So you'll see a little bit of my thought process as I go, oh, I think I'm gonna do it this way. So hopefully it's a fun video and I hope it inspires you to go and just try to make something that you have no idea how to make. So cardboard is pretty cool stuff. This is corrugated cardboard. So it has a piece of paper on this side, a piece of paper on this side, and in the middle it has sort of a wavy shape like this, another piece of paper that goes like that, which gives it structural integrity. So it's pretty strong this way. It's hard to bend, but if you bend it along those grooves between the waves, you can make cardboard that curves like this. So you can do a lot with cardboard, and even after you bend it a bunch of times, it stays really strong. So also, some more tools that we're going to be using. We are going to use one of these, which if you do a lot with cardboard, you have to get one of these. It's called a canary cutter. I got mine on Amazon. They come in a pack of 3. I think you can get them individually too, but I got a pack of 3 because they're just so handy to have around. And they have these little tiny serrations, and they're blunt on the end, so you can't like stab yourself. They are sharp. You don't want to like rub your finger really hard on this. You'll get something like a paper cut. But you can't really seriously hurt yourself with one of these. So, but they slice right through cardboard really easily. I'll show you. So this is a piece of cardboard. I'm gonna go, actually I'll go this way. This way is actually a little easier because you can follow the grooves, so I'll show you the harder way. Yeah, it's just like slicing through bread. It's really easy. And you can do curves too, which is really nice. You can also just use a good pair of strong, sturdy scissors to cut cardboard. Like a smaller piece like this is pretty easy to cut with scissors, but if you have a big box that you're trying to take apart or you're trying to cut something out of the middle, like a window or something, these are really, really handy to have. And as far as gluing things together, I think we're going to use some hot glue for this project, just because it just glues things up really quickly and you don't have to hold it for a long time and wait for the glue to dry. You can use Elmer's. Some projects you can even, if you're using a lighter weight cardboard, you can even use a glue stick. I think we're gonna probably stick with hot glue. Oh, you can also use duct tape or masking tape. So anything, whatever you have laying around is probably gonna work for a cardboard project. So we're gonna jump right into our box making. So a cube has 6 sides. We're gonna make a box that does not have a lid, so ours is just gonna have 5 sides. So it'll have a bottom and 4 sides, and then I'll be able to store things in it. So I found this tile laying around. It was a tile I'd made a little bit ago, and it's a perfect square, which is handy. I don't have to use a ruler, I can just trace this square. So I'm gonna trace one in the middle of my cardboard, one here, one here, one here, and one here. So it's basically gonna sort of make an X. And each side is going to be equal. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I don't know if you can see it. I should have done it in a thicker marker. But anyway, there's a box here, and a box here, 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 and here. And the next thing I'm gonna do is score these. I'm gonna cut out around the outside, but I'm only gonna score these lines that are gonna be the hinges of the box. because I don't want to, it'll save me from having to glue them together. So I'll show you how that works. Okay, so I just cut out my box template here, and I have not yet scored. We will do that together. And I am going to use my tile. I could use a ruler, but that would involve going upstairs. So I'm just gonna use my tile to score just these inside lines here. And then what's gonna happen is it's gonna go, whoop, it's gonna fold up into a box. So let's see. So to score it, I'm just gonna cut through, I'm gonna try to just cut through that first layer of paper and leave the rest of it uncut. So I'm gonna use my canary cutter and I'm just gonna cut lightly through. Oops. And if at any point you make a mistake, you can just sort of tape it back together. Or you can start over because you have more cardboard in your garage, I bet. I certainly do. Okay, let's see how we did. That one folds up, and that one folds up, that one folds up, and that one folds up. And one of these is a little bit shorter, but I am okay with that. I could trim off the others if I wanted to. Actually, maybe I will. I think I'm gonna give this a little tiny bit of a trim here. Okay, so now we're ready to glue up our box. I got my glue gun out. So this is just a low temp, it's a little mini one. It takes the little mini glue sticks here, which I find is totally suitable for anything I need to do. And I've warmed it up a little bit, and I always keep it in this little tray, this little produce tray, just because sometimes glue drips out, and this way it just keeps things neater. I also have a piece of newsprint that I put down just so I don't get glue on my table. So always a good idea to prevent a mess as opposed to having to clean one up later. So we're gonna glue up the sides of these. So I'm gonna put glue along one side and then glue the end of the next piece over it. So glue will go right here. So yeah, we'll just go for it. There we go. I think that's going to stay now. I do have to hold the glue for a couple seconds because the cardboard sort of wants to spring back out again. So, but we're going to put some more material on the outside that will give this a little more structural strength and also make it just look a little nicer too. Okay, so now we have our fabric. This is actually the back of the fabric because I'm going to draw some lines with pencil and I don't want to see them on my finished product. So I flipped it over. So I did iron this quickly so it doesn't have any wrinkles or anything. So I'm going to basically make the same template with the tile that I did on to make my box, but I'm going to add a little bit around all the edges so that I can fold that part over. And hopefully, if everything goes well, according to plan, you won't see, there'll just be folded fabric here. You won't see any raw edge of the fabric. But we'll see. And then my plan is to do the same template again with this paper, but this time make it a little bit smaller and use this to line the inside of the box. So the box will be completely covered. Okay, so let's start up here. I'm leaving a little bit of extra right here. Okay, so now we've cut it out. And so for this, I got my fabric scissors out because these are a little better for fabric. I only use them for fabric, so they're nice and sharp. And, oh, and I'm gonna also, before I do that, I'm gonna make sure I add a little extra to the sides here as well. So I'm actually just gonna draw in, I think I'm just gonna draw in like eyeball, like that, like an extra 1/4 of an inch or so, maybe a little more than a 1/4 inch. Along here because I want to have a little extra. So now you can see I have my big X of fabric and I have my box in the middle. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn it this way, put my box back in the middle. What I'm gonna do is put a little bit of glue on the inside of this front wall of my box, and then I'm gonna pull my fabric up and then kind of pull it sort of tight and glue it in there. So I always like to do a dry run before I do anything with glue. So you can see that's what I'm going to do to make sure that it's all going to actually work, you know, before you get glue involved. So here we go. One thing to be aware of is when you put your hands, my thumbs in this case, in here, it does sort of make it, it is a little hot. Like the temperature that the glue kind of goes through the fabric, so it kind of makes your fingers feel it's a little hot. Okay, so now you can see I've got these two ends here that are not done yet. So I'm going to glue these little flaps down like that with hot glue. And then I'm gonna come in here and glue these sort of flat down here so I have a seam before I bring them up. I am pretty happy with that. My corners look nice and clean, like that. This is what the inside looks like. Haha, kind of a mess. Don't look at the inside. Okay, so I have my box all done. I'm pretty happy with the corners, and I realized as I was doing it, another thing you could do with the corners is just put a little ribbon on there. Like just glue the ribbon straight on there, and then you wouldn't have to worry about a raw edge or anything. You just cover it up with some ribbon. So here's the inside. Again, it's a little bit messy. So I'm gonna trim off a little bit of this paper on the, or sorry, fabric on the inside, just to make it a little neat. And then we're gonna make a liner for our box. A very similar way that we did these other two parts. So I'm really happy with this so far. It's super, super cute. As my daughter pointed out, our little snake plant here, whoops, fits in, there we go, fits in just right. So this would be a fun little gift box. Actually, if you're gonna give someone a little plant or a little vase of flowers, you could use an old like mug or something in there and then put it in a really nice box. And you have a nice little gift. So, get the saucer out, there we go. So I'm just gonna trim out this fabric and then we'll do the paper part of the liner. So I wanted to use this paper for the lining because I thought it just matched my fabric really nicely. But it turns out no matter how you turn this paper, it's not big enough to fit the 3 up and 2 on each side. This paper just isn't big enough. So it's almost big enough. So I thought about using 2 pieces of paper. And doing, you know, some combination. But then I found these pieces of paper upstairs in my craft room, and I realized that these work almost perfectly. So I have one in here now. It's just a little, oh, can you see it? It's black, it's hard to see. It's just a little bit too big, so I can trim that off pretty easily. And it's a little bit too wide, so it's getting a little smooshed in the bottom. But not bad at all. It almost fits perfectly like it was made to be in this box. So I'm gonna run with that. It won't be one piece folded up, it'll be 5 separate pieces, but I'm okay with that. I think it'll be kind of cool. And I'm going to, so I'm just gonna mark off where I want to cut that. And I have this white pencil, it's for quilting. It's really nice. I'm going to use it for this. So I'm just going to mark the top of my box. And since it's a white pencil, you can really see that mark right there really well. So I'm going to cut one, and then I'm going to cut all the others based on this one. And I'm also going to trim off the tiniest little hair on one side. Okay, so I just finished lining. I cut out those 5 pieces of paper. And I did do a dry run for each one. I put it in there to make sure it would fit because as I got to my last one, I realized just the fabric was bunched up a little bit in the corner. So I had to make my last piece a little bit smaller. So I kind of custom fit each one before I glued it in. I put the glue on the paper and then slid it in and kind of squished it. So yeah, it's all done. It's lined. I don't know if you can see my drawing in the bottom. There it is. And it's a nice little cloth box. It's way nicer than it's just a cardboard box. I don't think anyone would even know that there's cardboard in there. So I'm pretty happy with this. I hope you make some fun things that you can use to organize around your house or maybe give as a gift. And I'd love to see what you make. So if you want to tag things on social media with #HowMakers, that would be awesome. And I can see what you're making. And okay, see you next time. Bye.